You may be wondering, who uses spiritual coaching? Well, let me tell you who and why. Welcome to 12 days of spiritual coaching. We are on day 11. We have been following the 12 days of Christmas, and tomorrow is the 12th day of Christmas traditionally. I've been so excited to share with you. Hi, it's great to have you here. Thank you. To share with you all about spiritual coaching, which is my passion. It's a business I have built over time. I've learned so much about. It's 14 years old, my spiritual business. And I'm going to talk to you more today about exactly what is this spiritual coaching, who's using it, and why. It's vast. And each one of you that feels called to be a spiritual coach, you're going to have things you bring to the table based on your gifts, your skills, your abilities, your life experiences, the fires you've walked through. And then you have your spiritual journey and you're willing to share it with others. So as you grow and evolve, you continue to turn around and help others and serve your clients. And that's how spiritual coaching works. So I'm going to take you back to the days when I was a struggling practitioner. That means I was doing healing sessions and readings. I was teaching some really low-cost classes. I was trying to figure this whole thing out, and I was even getting booked a lot, and I was getting maxed at my capacity of how many people I could serve and still have a life. And I bumped up against a lot of that. I have spent the past 11 days sharing with you some of the main issues that people have, the mistakes they make. You can use hashtag 12 days of spiritual coaching and put it up in the left-hand corner in that search bar on Facebook and find all the other pieces that I've been doing all these days of the 12 days of spiritual coaching. I've also been releasing an interview every day of my spiritual coaches that I've trained and certified, so you can look at them on Facebook and see what they're doing. There are things they all have in common, but they're all very different, to where if I lined all of them up and you beside them, I would know who to refer to which one based on their unique message and their unique journey. And yet they're all spiritual coaches. The spiritual coach model is this umbrella. So I'm going to take you back now when I was that struggling practitioner, and I kept thinking there's got to be a better way than selling myself, $1 a minute and chasing sessions. And then they taught me to bundle your sessions, and you actually then are working more and making less money. And nobody saw that wasn't going to work. Sell one, but if they buy 5, they get a discount. Wait a minute. That's never going to work. But I went out and found what did, and found out what created a profitable and sustainable business that I've now had for 14 years. I haven't had a job since 2006. I haven't been without my own coaches since 2009, and I have had hundreds of private clients, hundreds of students, and thousands of people that I have reached. I have spoken on stages, I have written books, I've spoken online, I teach classes, I've done psychic and mediumship work, I've done platform mediumship, lots of healing work, all under this spiritual coach model. I'm also a former therapist who got rid of my license because I love the coaching model and the coaching world so much. And I believe that spiritual coaches provide more value, more healing and transformation than any other coach out there. For the people I serve and the people that I come in contact with, the healing and transformation. There I was. I finally learned how to be this spiritual coach. I wasn't selling business then. I had created a very expensive hobby. I had a lot of financial problems. I was selling healing and transformation, like a lot of my clients do now. My very first client who showed up was a woman already in my world. This is the thing too. Once I teach my clients to get clients, that first client is exciting because they show up out of nowhere and it's not who you expect. And sometimes, a lot of times, they've already been in your world, but they surprise you. She knew who I was. I didn't really know who she was. We had brief interactions. We shared people in common. Now, I want you to remember, when I first started my coaching business, I want you to realize Facebook was just coming on the scene and it was still for college kids. And then I finally got on it so I could spy on my kids. And then it turned into the main vehicle of how I've built my business and gotten my clients. But social media wasn't even around yet, and I was building my business. So this first client steps in and says, yes, I'm on the call. I don't even know how to do the discovery sessions, the strategy calls very well. But I learned over time. Now I can sell these containers all day long, every day. And I do until I'm full and maxed out. And then I teach groups and masterminds and courses and programs and retreats and all of that. And that's what I can help you with. She showed up. She had a real spiritual nature to her, but she had had a government job for 33 years. I couldn't even imagine that. I had never been in a job for very long, and a very structured government job for 33 years. And she didn't know it was getting close time for her to retire. And she needed to explore, who am I when I'm not that? And this spiritual thing inside of me, I think I might be intuitive. Could I even call myself psychic? I don't know what that is. She hired me. She was my very first client. I learned a lot from her. And I helped her, and I helped her a lot. She retired. She built a new life for herself. She had a real spiritual journey, which is one of the things I helped her with as a spiritual coach. And I helped her practice and master her craft, because she was, in fact, a very good intuitive, a healer, and a psychic. And I helped her with all of those. And she started doing that work and building this enriching life. Everyone who comes to you is different. The second client who came to me was rocking along in her life. Young, married, great job, involved in things, and then her husband got very ill and died. And suddenly, nothing mattered and nothing made sense, and it caught her really off guard. And Spirit was speaking to her. Now, she wasn't so much coming in like the other one, like, I have gifts. She said, I need community. I need to know where God is. I need to know where I am in this. She was having a full-on spiritual crisis. And suddenly her good job wasn't enough. Everything around her reminded her of her husband. She was traumatized from being with him through his illness and his death. And nothing mattered. So I helped her with the grief and the loss. And I helped her build a new life, not the life she had pictured. And she had a lot of anger because she and her husband had planned things. They had bought a property. They had planned a life that no longer was the life, and it wasn't going to make sense to her without him. Little things, we started adding joy back in. We got her connected to spiritual community and through a book club community. And then she started exploring who she was and what was her life going to look like. And she told me I pulled her through a very dark time. And she went on to have to reinvent and rebuild her life from a different framework and deal with all the grief and loss and anger and the dying of the dream and the loss of her love and all of that. Then another client came along, and she wanted to attract new love in her life. She had been married in a toxic marriage. She had a child with this person. She was having to deal with that. She had moved back in with her parents and was raising her child, and her child had some issues. All of this was going on, and she wanted to find love. And one of the things I teach you is you build what I call the magic container. And it's not just me and you, coach and client, it's me, you, and spirit. So everything that happens in the container is part of it. As a former therapist and in my work as a healer and an intuitive, I have a specialty in generational dysfunction, generational crisis and trauma, ancestral generational patterns. And we ended up taking a deep dive into issues in her family, issues with her father, things she wasn't seeing playing out, issues with the ex-husband, and helped her have to do a lot of work on loving herself and reclaiming that and not feeling powerless by all the things that were happening to her. While all that was going on, she started getting promotions at work and opportunities. She had been being even abused in her workplace and had become so normal for her. So with her, I was doing lots of really systemic work and deep work. Now, do you see how I could be a spiritual coach to all three of those clients, all very different, all looking for different outcomes, all coming to me knowing they were hurting and something was missing? And I see this over and over again. All they knew was I had some medicine to offer them, and they didn't even know how to put it into words. And I trusted that, and I showed up for them with spirit, and I held space for them. And I worked with them intuitively, energetically, and strategically, and therapeutically in all the ways I knew how, in all the ways that I could. And I responded, and I gave them a safe space to be heard. I listened actively. I learned how to be a good coach, and I learned how to bring all that I had to the table with every one of them. And you don't know who's going to show up, and what they show up and tell you they want and need, that's not always what happens in the container, and it's part of spiritual coaching. So fast forward, I got a lot more of those kind of clients. Fast forward to when I actually became successful in business, then I started getting hired by intuitives and healers and people in alternative medicine and all of these fields, therapists who wanted to look at the coaching model and look at their spiritual gifts, and nurses and lawyers and all wide variety of people. And they would come to me sometimes and say, I want you to help me build a business, get clients. I need to be on stage speaking. I know I need to write a book. The things they were being called to do, and they were very real. But what they didn't know to say were things like, I know in order to do this, I'm going to have to leave my marriage. I'm going to have to leave this husband, or I'm afraid my marriage won't survive it. Two different things, two different energies and issues. Or I've lost my job and now I'm scared, but I believe it's finally time to do this. Some experience healing in their family that they didn't ask me for. Some make big moves, a lot of them in the past few years, activated into making big moves to dream places they'd always want to live. Because I made a big move last year, and I made a big move a few years before that. And that's something I do so I can help people with that in a way that it comes to them with grace and ease. All of these people show up, and I can help all of them. And I don't put them in a box like it needs to be people between this age that shop at this store. Some of y'all have filled out those worksheets. Again, it works for some, but that's not what I'm really getting at. This is this deep work. It's also coming from your philosophy of life. No, I get asked all the time, do I have to be a psychic, medium, or healer to train as a spiritual coach and certify? No. I get a lot of those because I am one and I'm in that world. But no, you just come with this helping and healing nature in whatever way. You might have served in a church. I did. I was a volunteer in a hospital. I was a hospital chaplain. I was a therapist. School teachers come to me a lot. Nurses come to me a lot. Doctors, acupuncturists, chiropractors, all of that. And you have some philosophy you live by, and you have a body of knowledge, and you don't know how to monetize all that. That makes a great spiritual coach. I had a lot of people coming to me when what I was selling was healing and transformation. And now I still do, but they also come to me for business pieces. But even with them, the biggest work we do is helping them become who they are. Spiritual coaches hold space and learn how to help people become who they are and answer their calling. I always tell you all, and it's a light bulb moment for some people, Spirit does not call the equipped. Spirit equips the called. Once you have answered the calling and decided, because Spirit cannot impede on your free will. All of you waiting for Spirit to show up and drop everything in your lap so you can do it, they can't. It defies universal law. It defies our life on earth. So you always have to go first. All of this makes a great spiritual coach. I want to take a minute and tell you, while I've been doing this whole 12 days of spiritual coaching, I've been talking about, I opened the doors to my spiritual coach school, training and certifying coaches in practicing and mastering their craft, all the spiritual and personal growth and development work that comes with that, so they can be and become the people to be, do, and have it, and building and growing their spiritual business. You can go to bethecontribution.com, bethecontribution.com. Take a look. I invite you. I urge and encourage you. There's a button there. You can hit that button and you can ask to speak with me by email, by personal messenger, direct messenger, or by phone. I'm available this week to talk to you and help you make a decision. I do always have private coaching spaces, so I have a couple of those, and you can also do spiritual coach school and the spiritual coaching at the spiritual coach school and the private coaching at the same time. So bethecontribution.com, take a look. See what is there for you. If you're feeling called to do something and you haven't really fleshed it out and you haven't had success with it because you're like, what do I write on my business card? These are common ways you know you should be checking out spiritual coaching. Well, I don't know what to call myself. I don't know what to write on my business card. We used to have a joke like, I got to order new business cards because now I'm calling myself this, and every modality and every process and every tool, people are renaming themselves. No, those are modalities, tools, and processes. Do not brand yourself in that way. I teach you a way that is profitable and sustainable for 14 plus years. Not having had to have a job since 2006 and growing myself every year consistently into a multi-six-figure business, and I'm still going strong, 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 up, and up. You can scale this to any size business you want, because here's what we start with, and this is key. Create a vision of the life you want to live, and then create a business that supports and sustains that. People flip that, and we're taught to flip it. We don't. You need a business that takes care of you while you take care of everyone else. And why would you ever believe that if you are doing Spirit's work, your holy work, your most sacred work, Spirit would not want you to have the life of your dreams? I love financial freedom. I love time freedom. I love money freedom. I love all that freedom. But what I love the most is being able to have the spiritual journey of my dreams, and money doesn't make my decisions. that is what is available for you. Spiritual Coach School, bethecontribution.com. You can go to hashtag 12 Days of Spiritual Coaching, and you can find out all the things about me and my work. I've got comprehensive information for you. You can hit that button. If you want to talk with me, you can go to the hashtag 12 Days of Spiritual Coaching, and you can find all the days. This is day 11 already. Tomorrow is day 12. And the interviews, because I can talk to you all day long about this, but meet all the wide variety of people that have become spiritual coaches and created or massively grown their businesses, created brand new businesses, or massively grown their businesses. And it's available to you. It is a great model, so much so that I have dedicated this year, 2022, to opening a decade's worth of work and putting it all in one place, Spiritual Coach School, and helping spiritual coaches get out there in the world. It has been the most rewarding work of my life, the most profitable, and the most sustainable. Spiritual coaching. And it's an umbrella that lets you bring all of you to the table. Most of the people that come into my world, most of them, when I teach them this model, they can sell it today and deliver it tomorrow. This is not sitting around for weeks and months, creating a bunch of stuff that you don't know will sell, creating courses, and then you put them out in the marketplace and you're shocked because they don't sell. And people told you it was great or clever, but those people weren't willing to pull out their credit card and pay you right now. These are all normal and common mistakes, but you don't have to make all of them. I've made plenty. I built a very expensive hobby right out of the gate, had to shut my business 18 months later and then rebuild it up to where it is now. I invite you to stay connected with me, to reach out. I would love to hear from you and hear your dreams and talk with you and share with you how spiritual coaching may be just what you're looking for, praying for, asking for, and it's there for you. And I love sharing it. And there's a reason it's coming into your awareness. So trust that. I'm excited. I will continue to share, and I will be back tomorrow. bethecontribution.com, Spiritual Coach School, and hashtag 12 Days of Spiritual Coaching. I'm so glad you're here. I'm excited to continue this journey with you, and I will talk to you later. Thank you so much.